Okay, it says we're going live. Oh my god, that was the quickest going live I have ever experienced with YouTube.
That's
That
the
is,
joys of being one of only two people on
I
a
know.
podcast.
This is crazy. This is intense. So, hello everybody, and welcome to Roundtable with the Stream Team. This is where we get to speak to content creators about, their adventures and what they ended up doing to make them become content creators. Tonight we have Mr. AnchormanV2, or as everyone else calls him, Anchorman, the lover of Fallout 76. Um,
What do you think I'm playing while we're doing this?
oh, we're just gonna start calling you Addict from now on because that's what he does. But yeah, I don't plan on ripping on you too much about Fallout 76, but I will do a couple of jabs just like I expect you with Division, so it's totally fine. So the rest of the guys are actually they're not able to make it today. Mr. MJ is a boss, as per usual, is stuck with schoolwork. Unfortunately, L Boogie is down sick because that's what always happens when around this time. Probably Thanksgiving, seeing family, sick kids. You know how that goes. And old school, he cannot do Tuesdays because he's stuck at work. But so just wanted to make sure you guys knew this. So, like I said, this is Anchorman. Hello, Salty. Hey, the Blue. How's it going on, guys in chat? Anchorman, why don't you go ahead and I appreciate you coming and just doing these one-on-ones with me at least. And so tell everybody how did you become a content creator? Why did you want to do this?
I will say this way: I was bored.
You were bored. You were bored.
So I got started doing YouTube back in 2013. My first video was a first impressions video on Battlefield 4 using the Xbox Studio. Whatever they call it already. I stopped using it after so long. Upload Studio. I used Upload Studio to make my first video. And originally, because I remember I got kind of provoked into doing it because I was in college. I was a sophomore in college. I went to UNC Asheville, and I remember I was watching the PlayStation teaser trailer at the Super Bowl, and then I watched their event, and then I watched Xbox do theirs, but I had jury duty that day. So I was like, I remember because it was just such a weird situation, and so I didn't get to watch it until much later. But like I had all the notes as they were coming out, so I was just looking at stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, like what's going on here? What's going on here? And I watched it later, and I watched it, and I was like, oh, I'm interested in what Xbox was doing back in 2013, and I saw a lot of people hating on it, but I wasn't like really on social media like that until later. Like I didn't watch YouTube at all. Like I think the only time I ever did anything for YouTube was like watching like a couple like Potter Puppet Pals and just stupid little YouTube videos. And I remember going through that whole process and saying like I can't believe people don't like the Xbox One that much. I just had a hard time reconciling that, and so I started like hanging out with some of the other Xbox YouTube people a little bit. I was always kind of kept at arm's distance, which was fine. I didn't really care. But I met some cool people on Facebook who were going through their whole spiel. And I started my YouTube channel as the Anchorman V. And I was one of the few pro Xbox people. But I was shooting for like kind of like this weird tone. Where it was more kind of like a little snarky, but like informative and keeping videos short. Like I was always like 5 minutes, no more than 5 minutes. If it takes me over 5 minutes, it's not a video worth making.
Yeah. So you kind of like went into that thought process of, hey, I'm gonna make some videos, but I'm just gonna do short, sweet, to the point, as gritty as possible, no BS, just going right for it.
Yep, it was all really straightforward stuff. I wanted to make sure it was like put it in layman's terms, like what do people actually care about? Like I remember I made one video about when it came to the earnings reports. See, I took economics in college, and so I was talking about the earnings reports. When you get down to the end of the financial year, everyone starts posting all their earnings, that kind of stuff. Right. And I remember looking at it. And I remember thinking about like, okay, because I remember they showed off. I can't remember what the revenue was for Xbox. And I was like, someone's gonna look at this revenue thing from Microsoft and be like, oh man, they could buy all of Sony based on the
Mhm.
revenue. I'm like, some idiot is gonna think this is exactly how much money they actually made
Right.
and not realize this is not profit.
Right.
And someone's gonna make a video claiming that this is gonna be it. So I made a video and I said, look, anybody who says this, don't believe them. They don't know the difference between revenue and profit.
Mm.
Big difference. Lo and behold, a certain YouTuber whose name starts with C came out of a video saying Xbox could buy PlayStation and Sony with this money.
Yeah.
I was like, oh boy. I was not well liked after that. So um,
Always
after a while,
ruffling people's feathers, even early in your career.
no, it was funny because like I had my terrible college internet and could not make sure it went out in time, and so I was literally watching it upload, and the video's uploading, and while that happens, that video comes out, and I watch it, I'm like, oh no. I'm gonna get in so much trouble for this.
I mean, what year did you graduate college then?
So
we
I
have a
got
time. So people have a time frame.
so I went into college in 2011, fall of 2011. I
You
actually
said fall of 2011, not
Yeah,
Fallout 2011, because
No.
I think you said Fallout 2011. But go ahead.
No. My love for Fallout's an entirely different story. Like that's
well, I want
such
to.
a random thing.
I really want to hear that story, but continue when you're saying school.
With school, I was in there because I was doing 4 years originally, and then after 3 years on a, It's a really dumb story again. I got I was trying to come back early, and I had to like apply to go back to my dorm room early, and my roommate got approved, and I got denied. And their reasoning was, well, there's no one's going to be on campus. I was like, but my roommate's going to be on campus.
That doesn't make sense. Yeah.
We're literally in the same room. And she's like, well, if you don't like it, you can leave. And I said, fine. So on that thing, I said, I'm quitting. And I applied to my Gopher College, and I actually got approved, and I got a full ride to switch. And so literally by the end of spring break, I said, hey, look, you told me to leave. I did.
Yeah. Yeah, they can't say anything. They can't say anything after that. They're just like, hey, whatever you want to do.
But that was back when I was kind of an asshole. So, but yeah, so I took an extra year, did a 2 years ago for college for 2 years, and it was good. I really appreciated it. I ended up doing philosophy, poli sci, and then picked up a minor in business law.
Okay.
So I did that. So I was still doing YouTube during the entire time.
Right.
And that's where kind of things picked up a lot faster. So that was about, that was 2015.
Gotcha. And now what do you do?
Now I actually work downtown at my local city. I do nothing in my field, period. So
as per what happens when you graduate college.
Yeah, but it's fine. I worked in medical debt for a long time.
Yeah.
So that's my specialty. So if you got medical debt, let me know. I'll help you out.
No. Everyone hears that. We'll put a hashtag when this goes out and say hashtag medical debt for you. So
hashtag Stimpaks.
Yes, Stimpaks.
Stimpack for all.
Stimpaks for all.
No. But yeah, that's kind of what I do now. But so during that whole time, going back to the whole YouTube thing, I was messing around on YouTube, and I realized about after a year of doing YouTube that me being a hardcore pro Xbox guy was boring.
Mm-hmm.
And not just that, but like all of a sudden, like, see, I had accrued a pretty, I would say pretty large, but I had like about 4,000 subscribers. Mm-hmm. And I had pretty good regular views, and I got, I had people coming at me all the time, which was, I guess, is a sign of success.
Yeah.
At least enough. So
yeah.
And that's how I met actually a lot of people. So like a lot of people in our little gaming community,
gaming clique,
I met from doing YouTube.
Yeah.
So like that's how I met Addict. That's how I met Cog and pretty much everybody else on Iron Lords. It involved so wasn't it Arsenal, Red Dragon. I met a ton of people. Let's go with that. You get some developer contacts, and it was fun. It was kind of like I want to say it was the Wild West, but it really wasn't.
Right.
But it was more like it was. I would probably liken it to like like in The Godfather, there's like 5 families and everyone's going after each other, but everyone's trying to be civil.
Right.
It's kind of like that. So
That's how sometimes I feel like when I'm looking at who's doing podcasts on what day and who's doing what, it's almost like you have to keep an eye and go, all right, well, this person's doing a podcast this day. Well, we don't want to aggravate them. Oh, so this person's doing a podcast this day. We don't want to like overlap them. And it's almost to the point where, like, I keep calling Boom like the Godfather of podcasts because he's like the elder statesman because he does so much and he's all over the place, just like Xbot and Salty and all those guys. And you want to have that respect for them because they've been doing this stuff so long. That's why it was very difficult for us to find a time slot to make sure it didn't like overlap with one of them, because we knew that we want people to go see them, we want people to go see us, so it was
believe me, I know.
Well,
I know the process.
Well, that brings me up to my question for like question comment, like when we spoke, like I really wanted you to come on kind of earlier in the time of when we started the podcast, because I knew that you have a great story of how you kind of grew up in that community, and you were like, I can't do Mondays, I have the multiverse, and I was like, I thought it was every like twice a month. I didn't realize it was every week.
Yep.
And that's why like yesterday was my anniversary with my wife, so I'm like, this is perfect. I can ask you to come on Tuesday because I know you can't have multiverse then. You can't say, hey, I have it 2 days in a row, because that would just be mean. So I was like, all right, well, I'm like, this is gonna be great to have you on. So it's great. So
Hey man, I'd say, hey, when I was doing YouTube, and podcasts were not really popular when I was starting doing YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until much later, because for what happened with me was I think it was about 2015. No. 2014? I forget. But I got asked to go on Tick Podcast originally. And I was like one of like their fifth episode or something like that. And then it was funny because like I do the same exact thing I do on everyone's podcast, and I felt terrible for it later because I was just playing Battlefield 4 the whole time and I was answering questions
yeah.
and because I'm pretty good at multitasking about that. But it was funny, I did that entire interview, and then literally the next interview they got was Phil Spencer.
Right.
And I was like, damn it.
Yeah, I should have paid attention.
Or at least paid attention more.
Right.
So, but it was a good show, and eventually I got asked to join Tick Podcast, and I joined, and I worked with Tick and did their stuff for a while, and my tenure ended with them. But that's all in good fun. I don't regret anything about it. So
right. And now you are working with the Iron Lords podcast, doing Lognet stuff and multiple other things in the background.
Oh, I'm the godfather of Iron Lords, dude. I mean that quite literally.
No.
I was the one who suggested they do a podcast.
Yes. I've heard the background information of how you spoke to the guys and said you should do this, you should bring these people on, you should do. I've heard the background information, and it's pretty interesting. I'm hoping to get Cog one of these days when he's got a day off, and bring him in here so he can go through the whole story of Iron Lords podcast and things like that, because it's a very interesting story. So your time frame with Tick was a couple of years, and then you did multiple different things with them, right? And then when did the multiverse start? When you were over there?
So originally, when I was doing I got asked formally to join in 2015, I believe. So I joined them in 2015, and I didn't do a lot of writing, but I was working as a creative director and basically managing all the podcasts and such. I was going through that process. Then I went to E3 with them in 2016. That's a certainly experience.
Yeah.
Because it was like right after that, everyone started splitting up and everything. So it was a time that, yeah, because that was like right after that. Then like Colin Moriarty left, and then it was Greg Miller and Colin left to do Kind of Funny, and then like the year after that, then Colin left.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a bunch of stuff happened. Like everyone started moving and changing, because then it was like Meg Turney left, everybody started leaving after 2016. It was kind of nuts, but yeah, I did that time frame with them, and that's when we got Iron Lords on Tick. And so we got them started up. And what else happened after that?
While you're thinking that, I just want to throw out yes, Salty and Irrelevant Native. Yes, Cog is a busy man at night shift, so yes, he is too good for his own podcast. But believe it or not, this podcast was actually an idea that me and him threw. Well, I pitched to him for a while, and he kind of finally was like, "Go for it, see how it goes," and was brought it in. But yes, he can't afford this podcast, so hopefully one day when he ends up getting, like I said, I want to get him on here as soon as he can get night shift. I know he's off this week, so I might try to sneak in another episode this week, but we have to see. Or I'll have to talk to him next time he's on vacation. But anyhow, you were saying
multiverse. So yeah. So what happened was that when we were doing Tick Podcast, and we pitched around this idea of doing like we were going to talk about doing a website. And one of the things also came up was like, well, we can't really talk about anything other than Xbox on Tick Podcast, so we can't really do anything, right. Which was really kind of frustrating, because like we all had other interests, like things we wanted to talk about, but we really couldn't do anything about. And so that was really frustrating for me and Cal. And so we talked about doing a show, making it more of a like an anime comic book kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started doing a pre-recorded show, and we called it Multiverse Show, just because it was something to call it. I didn't really have much else to call it, really.
Right.
But it worked out really well. But I hated doing that show. I hated doing it because it was just really, really it was just really annoying to record and then edit the entire thing. It was really frustrating. I hated doing that.
Because it was pre-recorded, you felt the need to edit it.
Yeah, I felt like if we're gonna pre-record it, we got to edit it.
Right.
It's not. It really frustrated me, and so we did that for like 10 episodes, and so that was like an hour and a half of content that I had to edit. And I was just like, ugh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that anymore. And so we kind of scrapped it after a while, and then was it Fame Entertainment? He and I said like we want to do a podcast, and so I was like, well, I have this name for Multiverse Show. We can just take that instead.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we're not using it. And so I was like, all right, cool. I was like, well, we were brainstorming about like what we do with the show, what we make it different. Because right now this is during the podcast craze, so everyone's starting.
Everyone's doing one.
We're like, oh my gosh, we're tired of this. How do we make it different? So I was like, all right, first of all, we're gonna put it on Mondays. Because no one has a podcast on Mondays, which is true. Nobody had a podcast on Mondays.
Right.
Because everyone's doing like weekends or Tuesdays or like
Friday nights.
Like Friday, Thursday, later in the week. And so we were thinking like, all right, well, what if we put our show like we put it on a Monday. If it's on Monday, we don't have to compete with anybody else. Plus, you got people like, we put it at 8:00, 9:00. I think we were doing it at 9:00 originally.
Yeah.
And so it's like everyone else, like they're all waiting to play. Like if there's a game release, because most games release on like Tuesdays or Fridays.
Right.
And so we were saying, hey, if we, Monday night, people are just kind of killing time waiting for the next game to come out. What if we kind of like came on as like this hype show for whatever the next game is? So like if Fallout 4 was coming out on Tuesday, we would we talk about Fallout 4, why we're excited for it, and like maybe a little bit of gaming news. And it was like, hey, that's a good idea. We also like, well, let's do something different though. Everyone else is like doing like these 3-hour-long shows and stuff.
Yeah.
We don't got time for that.
I don't understand why anyone does those long shows all the time.
It's stressful, like staying in there for 3 hours week after week. And like, yeah, it's fun. Like, don't get me wrong, but I can't do that on a regular basis. I got stuff to do.
Right.
And so I decided like let's make it 45 minutes. So it's like people come in, come out. It's just an hour max. And the people have time.
Right.
And so we did that, and it worked really well. We got a good little following. We did a couple little things here, and so we also did like little events and stuff. So we do little giveaways, and we also did like we kind of try to do the what's it called? like no, we did our own Game of the Year show, which actually we just did this year's. We
Right.
also did we also do like the gamer awards, and so we would kind of like highlight individuals in the community who we thought were like interesting, and like we'd like okay, fun it like best podcast of 28 of or 2016, or we would do like funniest gamer or little things like that. So people get nominated. We got people like from around our little community to nominate other people. And like that actually got a really good following of people. People loved that stuff. And the funny part was we also used to do Rookie of the Year. But the funny part was with Rookie of the Year, we actually nominated, and like people who won actually went on and became like bigger YouTubers than we are. So we're like, oh, like 1 year was Kofi. Another year was J-Main. Who was the other one? There was somebody else, and like they're completely off the map now. Like we have no idea where they are. but like we had people were winning Rookie of the Year, and just it was funny because we kept like highlighting these people who went on being way bigger than we were. So
yeah,
it was fun.
You kind of help pave the way for these people so they can kind of understand and see what they're looking at.
I mean, they had talent. They just needed a little push.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need reassurance, and it helps.
Yes. So Irrelevant Native made a comment before in chat about the Game of the Year for you.
Yeah,
what did he mean by that?
All right, so every year we do a Game of the Year show.
Right.
We're actually doing that and a Film of the Year show.
Okay.
Well, that will be next week for Film of the Year. Then we're done for the rest of the year because we get the way everything falls. Like we fall on Christmas Eve,
yeah,
and then New Year's Eve.
Right.
So it's like, well, we can't really do that, can we?
Right.
I can't ask people to do that. But what was it? So the way we do our show, what I love about it is that it's entirely transparent. Everybody sees the entire process from nominee all the way through who you see who Game of the Year is. And we do it in a way that systematically pisses off each of us every single year. So the way the system works, and like it's been refined over the years, but as a general process, what we will do is each of us nominates 5 games. Everyone on the panel gets 5 games to nominate. With those nominees, we kind of finesse things a little bit. So what we do is out of those 5, we assemble the list of all the nominees. So if all of us, like last night we had 6 different people, and so each of us had 5. Right. Anyone who got multiple nominations kind of survived longer. Those who got single nominations were free to be on the chopping block.
Yeah.
But what we would do is that we would go one by one, and we don't talk about which game we think is better. We just think which game is worse.
Right.
And so what we do is we go one by one, and I'll be like, oh, well, I nominate Death Stranding to be eliminated from the list. And when the group votes on whether or not they're going to do it by simple majority. And so last night, a bunch of games, well, we got all the way through, and so we got stuck on the top 5, and we were at a complete stalemate because no one would vote to get rid of any of the games on the list. Like we went through every single one that was possible, and everyone got stalemated. And so
really?
no one could get out of there. So what we did is we put it on. What was it? We had to put up a vote. We actually opened it up to the chat to pick which game to eliminate. And so out of the 5, and so we said, okay, the first 3 people, the first 3 people to respond would get to pick which game gets eliminated, just based on like just the first ones to respond.
Right.
And so we said to look for like 2 votes, and then we were going to say we're going to go with that. That'll be enough to choose which one to get rid of. And so originally when they did it, then Plague Tale was going to get eliminated, but then one of our guys used their veto power to stop that, to stop it from being eliminated. And so then the next game they got eliminated was Resident Evil 2.
Oh, really?
And 4 of our people on the show nominated that game. It was the most nominated game. But because they used their vetoes incorrectly, they instead they tried to save Plague Tale only to have Resident Evil eliminated instead.
Yeah. Personally, me, side note, I think Resident Evil shouldn't be considered Game of the Year because it's a remake.
I am with you on that. I think if it's a remake, you are basically retreading the same idea and you're doing it again. But yeah, it could be way better a more up to date game, but it's still the same game.
It's still the same game. I'm sorry,
I can't in good conscience say that's better than any other game.
no,
Especially a game that came out this year is brand new.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I understand that it is considered a quote unquote new game for people of a younger generation, but at the same time, you can, for instance, World of Warcraft, right? The game's been around since 2004. They just released Warcraft Classic, and all these people are playing it because it's fresh and new to them. But you cannot say that's Game of the Year because that was out in it's 2004. I'm sorry, that it doesn't make sense to me. It's literally they took the same game, they put better graphics on it, and
if you want to nominate it for like best ongoing game or something like that, I mean, hey, go right ahead. I think that's why I like that category in the Game Awards every year.
Right.
I love that category because you see games that like actually have turned around. The only game that has not won that award that truly deserves it is Rainbow Six Siege.
They should take all remakes, make a new genre, and say best remade game of the year. Because now there's like 7, 8, 9, 10 remakes every year. So you can pretty much make your own category for them now. Yeah. But you can never consider them as a game of the year. I'm sorry.
I said I agree. I don't think it should ever be considered as game of the year because if it wins game of the year, what does that say about modern games?
Yeah, they're garbage.
Yeah, this game from 10 years ago is better than yours.
Yeah, millennials, you're screwing everything up. No, no, I'm kidding. But yes, it's so. What ended up being your game of the year nominations?
Let me clarify this. My game of the year was Jedi Fallen Order.
I fully agree with you.
It was Jedi Fallen Order, After Party, and Outer Worlds. Those are my Game of the Year picks. They did not make it. So Outer Worlds got number 2. I will say that much.
How did Fallen Order get cut?
Fallen Order got cut because they like Sekiro more, and and they didn't like it because of bugs, and it was like they felt like it was rushed. And I'm like, fair, but I don't care.
Yeah, I still think that. As of right now, Jedi Fallen Order is probably one of the best games I've played in a very long time, and I think that everyone should go out and give it a try and play it because the story is fantastic. I'm almost done with it. I've been kind of chipping away at it little by little by little, playing an hour here, an hour there, 2 hours here, 2 hours there, and kind of just going at it. And it's really hard because I've been playing on Jedi Master and I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, for me, what I liked about Jedi Fallen Order was just the fact that game. See, there's another subgenre of like Souls clones and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want. It is not a Souls clone. It is taking that.
It's the combat system.
It's taking that recipe of like Souls games of limited health regen. Mm-hmm. Focus on dodging and parrying, and it's taking that aspect. But I'm actually starting to like that subgenre where it's like, okay, it's not about brutal punishment; it's just about challenge.
Yeah,
and make you think out your encounters. I like that, and I also like Darksiders 3, another game that I thought was really enjoyable because of that system.
Yeah,
it made it more challenging, and it made where it was just completely hack and slash brutal melee stuff. And making it more of I can still do that, but I want to feel like a badass because I'm able to manage my health and be able to use my powers effectively for the scenario that it calls for.
Right. I fully agree with you. That
game in particular, that one focused. Well, Jedi Fallen Order basically replaced where Darksiders focused more on enemy variety and combat styles.
Mm-hmm.
This one they said, nah, let's just make it more exploration based, like Uncharted or Tomb Raider. It took those aspects, and I enjoyed that a lot.
Well, it's from Respawn, who are the same people that made Uncharted.
Yes.
So, but that's the thing.
Respawn didn't make Uncharted.
The original, from my understanding,
I know they had one of the people on there. Yes.
From my understanding, the people that made Uncharted. Don't quote me on this. I'd have to double check my resources. But from my understanding, the people that made Uncharted eventually left Uncharted and created Respawn, and Respawn ended up then creating um, Jedi Fallen Order, and that's that studio. I,
No, so what happened with Respawn? They are the guys who worked on Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Because remember,
oh,
they used to
the
be,
original Infinity Ward guys.
yeah, they used to be Infinity
Oh,
Ward.
why do I think
Yeah,
that? Oh, maybe I'm
same story,
that I'm
different studio.
yeah,
So,
pretty much, yes. But like that's so those guys,
which is weird because it's not a shooter.
but that's
Like,
but yeah, that is interesting, yeah. But they do say a good story. You can't say that those guys don't give a good story, because all the Call of Duties when they actually had first player stories were pretty good. You still there?
I'm still here. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were like, oh,
Uh,
but yeah, that was my 2 cents. So going back to multiverse, so jumping back. So originally, when you created that with the multiverse itself, it's essentially a based on movies, anime. Now, can you explain to people that are listening what that content is and what like your main focus was?
So with then, like when we originally started doing a pre-recorded, it was movies, anime, and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When we started making our own podcast, we shifted more towards gaming, but like gaming was 50% of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then movies and comics were like 25 each.
Yeah.
So we made that more the focus. So we would do like a 3-topic show, and like 2 topics would be gaming, and then 1 topic would be movies or comics or something like that.
Gotcha.
Whatever the big focus was. But like over time, more topics and
So,
such.
so you yourself are a huge comic book fan?
I used to be like a major comic book fan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't read as many comics as I used to. Actually, I sold my entire comic collection to get an Xbox One.
Oh wow.
So,
Okay.
well, not all of it. I sold most of them.
Yeah.
I still have a few. I'm just sitting there waiting on. Like, this will be valuable one day.
Yeah. These are mine. These are my collection. I will keep them forever.
Like, I literally have a box of like Hellboy comics and I can't remember what it's called. It's not Thunderbolt. It's some stupid comic I don't care about.
Yeah.
My uncle gave me a bunch of them, and they're like 1 through like 100, and they're just sitting in a box. And I know eventually they're gonna make a movie of it. Eventually, and I'm just gonna wait. I was gonna sit there. They're in their own little sleeves. They're gonna be fine. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna unload them. So eventually I know that movie will come out. So
yes. When I was younger, probably almost about a senior in high school, my dad and I would go to comic book shows, and I used to have like huge collections of like Wolverine comics and Superman comics, and I've like the Venom comics and Gambit comics. Like I ended up having this huge collection of first editions of those comics because I was a huge fan of them, and now I've been sitting on them and I have them boarded and protected and everything. And I'm just thinking to myself, if I do this right, then I will definitely be able to make some money off of them, because they're not like the second or third prints. Those are like the original first prints with like the gold covers or whatever, or the platinum covers, the really really rare stuff, because those are the ones I ended up picking up. So I love having a comic book collection, and I haven't really expanded on that in a really long time. But I think that my whole entire love for comics is now like shifted into watching different animes and reading mangas and stuff when I go into like Borders and stuff. I don't actually buy mangas. I just go to the store and just read them off the shelves because they're so short. But
and you can speed read them pretty quick.
yeah, exactly. Are you a fan also of that type of stuff?
I used to read manga like in high school.
Yeah.
I don't read it as much as anymore. I'll watch the anime every once in a while, but I'll like binge the entire series and just be over with it.
You'll be like,
So I don't watch it very often. It kind of comes and goes. I don't really like, for me, TV shows in general are really hard for me to get into, mainly because I just don't care about them as much. I'm more of a film person because I feel like with film you have limitations, and so you have to do a lot of like filmmaking shorthand,
right,
and you have to convey a coherent thought in 2 hours.
right.
Where like a TV show, you can just not talk about it for a very long time, and then like, oh yeah, this random obscure little thing we could have like ushered off with like 5 seconds of dialogue. Nah, we're just gonna hold up a whole episode about it. And like it feels, and like yeah, that's cool, and that's a cool benefit that TV has. But I just don't care about it that much, and I prefer film as a general concept.
Right.
Although there's a couple shows I've watched I got really into. So
Right. Now I don't know why every single time I type something in chat, it throws bushes at the end, guys. So I apologize. So now I remember you and King talking about you guys possibly doing something for like the Mandalorian and things like that. Now I assume you've ended up watching it.
oh yeah, the only thing about it though is just the timing's weird on it. Like
Yeah.
just because I like the fact that Disney Plus is like really kind of staggering them out.
Right.
Like I will say, like especially like for meme status stuff, like the Baby Yoda thing.
So
The only reason why it's lasted this long is because they're drip feeding the content once a week.
right. I only saw the first 2 episodes. I've been meaning to watch the rest of them, but I've been trying to make like a conscious effort to not watch them unless I'm watching them with my
will
dad.
make one thing about it. Because the only thing about that show I'm not like super into is just that every episode feels different, and it's because they have different directors and stuff, and that's fine. It doesn't like the first. I liked the tone of the first episode a lot, and then it like shifts, like the tone changes a lot, but then it goes back and forth, and I'm like, okay, like episode 5, like I won't say anything about it because I want to spoil it for you. Episode 5, I liked the tone of episode 5, and I liked episode 1, and like, but like 2 and 3 were like, okay, these are cool. It wasn't no 1 and 2 I was fine with. 3 and 4, I'm like,
Yeah.
not my style, not for me.
Well, I actually was listening to a podcast with one of the individuals that created a lot of the original pilot episodes. I'm blanking on the individual's name, but he ended up creating things like Smallville. What the heck is it called? He ended up doing 32 total pilots. Supernatural, Flash, Green Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow. He did a bunch of different ones, and he said that like a lot of the times what ends up happening is he also did Game of Thrones. Like he was brought in, right, and he would produce this amazing like pilot episode, and then the content would end up getting picked up, and then he would end up having another person come in for the next couple of episodes, and he would sit there with them and explain to them what they're looking to do and where they're looking to put the path, and then after that he was gone. So that's what I think the whole entire problem is with like TV, with like episodal type shows, because you have individuals that are gonna make this amazing pilot just like the Mandalorian was, and then after that it's just gonna feel kind of empty for a couple of episodes until they get the groove. And a lot of the times, like if you've heard the film industry talk, they say that they don't hit their stride until the 3rd season, but most shows never make a 3rd season, and then it's kind of, they're done.
No, yeah, that is a problem.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard for them to continue the same. Well, also either you have a breakout first season, you have the problem of like following it up. Like you have that issue sometimes, but then other times it's like, okay, what's the like what is this show really about?
Right.
So,
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So you end up having the multiverse. Is there any other podcasts that you have that you are, you work with, or is it just that one?
That is my only podcast that I currently routinely show up on.
Right. And then your YouTube channel, do you still end up producing content for that, or is it just
it is on my YouTube channel. It's been completely redone.
Right.
To be that.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, so I didn't know if you ended up still like, slide like once in a while you're like, oh, I like this review of this game, or end up like,
every once in a while I'll put something out there, but as a general rule I don't tell anybody about that.
Did you think that like, doing this build up for your YouTube channel was going to be as difficult as what it was?
Oh, it's a completely different beast now. Like,
yeah,
it's entirely different. I don't have a problem with it, honestly. It's coming See, one of the things I always tell people about it is just that if you are into something and you want to see yourself succeed, you got to read the market. And like the market came and went for what I was doing, and I basically quit doing YouTube for a
Right.
while. And I try to come back a little bit, and like I just don't. One, I don't have the same spark because a lot of it has to do with like you routinely putting out content every single day, or at least having a pretty routine thing.
Right.
And that's fine, but I'm not in college anymore. I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
So
I have a real life I have to deal with.
like I just don't have that time anymore. Like to give you an idea of what I was doing in college, I literally would not do anything at school. Like when I went to Guilford, I remember taking classes, not paying attention at all, and just writing scripts for YouTube videos
Yeah.
and getting my gameplay and everything else. I was just doing all that prep work. So I would get off, go to my apartment, hide my head under a blanket to limit the echo,
Yeah.
and record the audio, and then pump out a video every day. And that was great for the time,
Yeah.
but I can't do that anymore because I just don't have that kind of time to do that. Every so often I'll put something out there, and
Yeah.
it's not to say I'm not going to do it. Every so often something come out, but I got to be really inspired and have a good chunk of free time because people don't understand making videos takes time.
It does. It
A lot
does.
more time than you think it should.
So for instance, for us with the ILP stuff, the first look videos, what ends up happening is the stream team guys will actually the team will actually do the videos, they'll do the recording of them talking, and they end up sending them the videos and stuff to myself. And what I end up doing is I end up taking the videos, I cut them, change them, edit them, speed up certain portions, change sound here and there. I do pop-ups and all that stuff. And I tell them, I'm like, I don't want you guys doing it because it's a pain in the butt. It takes a lot of time. I don't want you guys to, kill yourself during time, because I can allot time during the week to take care of all of my ILP work, as I like to call it, and I get to get that stuff done, and then we can get our videos out, because it takes a lot of time. It's very interesting to see that stuff happen. Now right now for ILP, you're doing like you've taken over the thumbnails and stuff like that to do those stuff. You're using Photoshop for your imaging,
Nope.
or are you hand drawing them? I'm sorry.
Paint.net is
Okay.
the secret. It is a much more it's a much more approachable editing software.
Yeah.
If you want to try to do photo editing, you can mod the crap out of it.
Mhm.
There's so much stuff you could do with it. I have been using that for years, and it's free. I mean, it's donation where you can donate if you want to.
Yeah.
You can also get a ton of great stuff, and I basically taught myself everything.
Right.
So it's really not that difficult if you got time for it.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's because I know that you did that. And what did you end up doing with your videos? You don't use that stuff anymore because you just use OBS.
So for my videos, I still use Paint.net to make all the title cards and stuff, and so I use OBS for recording because
Mhm.
we went to Discord, because eventually I know Google said they're going to be getting rid of Google Hangouts, so if they haven't already done so we basically jumped ahead of that and did that.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are waiting for it to happen, and
I see. This is going to be the great culling of YouTube. So
yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how things change, because
if you want to have a podcast, you got to be dedicated now.
yeah, well, that's the thing. For us, at least, we're working on something in the back end to make sure that we're working. But as of right now, we're just continuing using Google Hangouts because everybody enjoys it. It's easy for the people coming in,
Yeah,
so
it's-
we're gonna use it until
Hey,
it dies.
if it wasn't for Google Hangouts, most podcasts wouldn't exist.
Correct, because they had that one link button that would send it
It was
right out.
really easy.
It was truly a beautiful thing. I really miss not having that.
But this time has needed to come for a good long while, because some people's podcasts, I'm going to say it, not very good. Production quality wise, they need to step up their game.
Yeah.
So it's time for that.
Yes,
So,
yes. So You've been working on podcasts, YouTube's gaming stuff now for I would say then for the past 9ish years, 10ish years.
Oh no, God no.
No, not that long. Well, you said
No,
you were working on it in
Basically,
2011.
this entire generation
Oh, okay.
of so
Okay. So
2013 onward.
when you kind of brought that up to your family and your friends and stuff like that, that you were going to be doing this podcast and things like that, were they very supportive of that, or were they kind of just
Most of them didn't care.
yeah, they didn't care. They were confused by like, what is a podcast?
Well, it's not so much that by the podcast because like my parents didn't really care about what I was doing as long as I was like having good grades or whatever.
Yeah,
So
as
like I
long
would
as you're happy.
yeah. So and it was a good way to make it made a little extra money, but it wasn't much.
Yeah.
But I more had to explain working for a website with that. So
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like when I go out to, and I've said this before on the podcast, when I go out to the mall, or if I go food shopping and stuff like that, I always have like my logo shirts and my Twitch hoodie and stuff like that. And people ask me questions and stuff like that, and I kind of give them my card, and they're like, what do you do now? And I'm like, oh, I do this, and I work for an internet website publication doing gaming stuff. And that's how I've kind of like learned to like word it now so people understand it, so they're not looking at me like I have four heads. It's like, well, you do what? You
just wait, you'll eventually get to the point too where like people will recognize you directly.
I
That's happened to me a couple of times, and from the weirdest of places.
Yeah, I actually have this one guy that I met at like Trader Joe's, right? And I gave him my business card because he saw me because of the Twitch hoodie, and he's actually now a regular on my Twitch station. But it was really weird because every time I go in there now, he's like, "What's up, Pete? What are you doing?" I'm like, "What's up, Greg? How's it going?" So it's like really interesting, and it's awesome at the same time because you can make that relation to your fan base. So it's kind of cool, and it also gives you like this good like warm feeling inside. So it's good.
Yeah. Like I had a buddy. It was funny because actually I was doing YouTube and I can't remember what the starting incident was. What was it? Oh, I remember what happened. So one time, this is whenever Batman Arkham Knight was coming out because my brother asked me to go to the Arkham Knight release thing because he always wanted to go to like a release thing, like stay up till midnight, go get your game and do that kind of thing. Yeah. He's always wanted to do that. So like my brother's only like 3 years younger than me, so and I was like, all right, cool, let's go do that. And I had been to like a couple, but not like a lot. Mm-hmm. And so we're over at GameStop, and so what we were talking about. I don't know. I was just kind of like around, just kind of. I wasn't bothering anybody. This is like right around the time whenever backwards compatibility got announced.
Right.
And right at that point, I was trying to do. What was it? It was It was right when I was looking for a Mass Effect. I was looking for Mass Effect on 360, so I could give it a shot because I didn't like that. I didn't have a ton of games to work with.
Right.
So I wanted to give it a shot. So I was looking through that. And like this guy comes up to me and he's just like, "Hey man, you should get a PlayStation 4." I'm like pointing at myself like, "Me? Like
are you paying for it?"
And so he's like, "Yeah, man, you should get it. It's got all these great games and stuff." I'm like, "All right, cool. I don't care." Like I'm just looking for Mass Effect so I can try backwards compatibility out. So, oh man, PlayStation 4's got backwards compatibility. I'm like, no, it doesn't.
And so you don't know what you're talking about, clearly.
And so he just keeps talking about all this stuff, and he was like, "Oh man, it's got this game, and it's like, I was like, dude, you're talking to the wrong person. I don't care.
Yeah,
and I already know you're full of it. Like, like you don't know what you're talking about." And so. So this guy came up to me, and I call him Shane every time we're talking about stuff online because I don't want to get him in trouble. But and so he comes up to me and he's like, "I'm sorry about that guy. I don't know who he is. He's like a 40-year-old man, and he keeps trying to like sell people things." And I'm like, "He doesn't work here. I don't know who he is." So I was like, "All right, dude, it's fine." And so we started talking, and so he was like, "All right, yeah, man." He's like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, yeah. It's like, he's like, oh, you know about the backwards compatibility thing. So this was like I don't know, a couple of days like later or something like that. He's like, you know about that because it's not widespread yet.
Yeah.
And so he's like, so what's the deal? And so we started talking for a while. I started, I did YouTube, And so he's like, all right, cool, man, it's amazing. And so Shane every so often will help hook me up with something if something comes out. Like he got me a deal on the X, so
Yeah.
I was really happy about that.
So you have a man on the inside.
Yeah, we don't talk that much anymore because I don't do much on YouTube. I don't go to GameStop very much, but
Yeah.
next year I'm gonna be going a lot.
I will see you, Shane, every couple of weeks.
Yeah, like, we'll see you in the next Xbox or PlayStation or whoever else drops out.
Yes. So I want to know, what is your obsession with the Fallout series, or
Right.
is it considered Fallout or Bethesda as a whole? Everyone says I'm a huge Division IP fan, but I'm more of a Ubisoft fan. So it's like more of a franchise thing. So that's why I was curious if it was Bethesda or if it was just the Fallout stuff.
So let me preface it this way. So I had not played a Bethesda game until 2011.
Okay.
Because I didn't get a 360 until 2011, until I turned 18.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like getting a 360, so I was trying to like catch up on stuff, and like a buddy of mine, Grant, was like, "Hey man, you gotta play Fallout 3. Like it's got a bunch of junk." And I was like, "What do you mean?" It's like there's like junk laying all over the place. You could pick it up. I was like, "Okay, that's random."
Yeah.
And so I get Fallout 3, and I start playing it. Hated it. Because for me, I hadn't played an open world RPG like that, where like things are not very clear cut where what you're supposed to go, what you're supposed to do. Like I was not used to that at all. And so I walk out, and like I did a couple of things. Like, go to Megaton, and it's like, oh, like you talk to Moriarty. Moriarty's like, oh yeah, I know where your dad went, but what's in it for me? And so I'm like, all right, well, that's all right. I understand you're supposed to be a jerk. So sure, I'll do something for you so I can get that information. I get the information. So, all right, cool. So I saw him heading towards DC, or headed to the mall. So all right, cool. So I head over there, meet Three Dog, and Three Dog's like, yeah, I saw your dad, but I'm not telling you nothing until you do something for me. I'm like, I thought you were supposed to be like a really cool person. Like now you're just kind of being a jerk.
Yeah.
So you do this thing, almost get killed, and say, yeah, I saw your dad. He went that way. It's like, wait, I thought you knew exactly where he was. And then he gets Rivet City, and it's the same exact thing. I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I quit. Like, I'm out. Like, just tell me where my dad is already. I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
But I didn't even do the side quest or anything. I quit. I stopped playing. Time goes on. Skyrim came out. I was in a weird roommate situation. I won't talk about that. So I just played a lot of Skyrim. Loved Skyrim. Got into it. Great. Played hundreds of hours of Skyrim. I was like, oh, this is great. Love Bethesda. Bethesda's great. And then after a while, it was right after 2012, and I remember I got Far Cry 3 at a used place, and I had like a few more dollars. I had like $10 extra, and I bought Fallout New Vegas. I forgot about Fallout 3 existing.
Oh, okay.
And so I finished Far Cry 3, and I was like, oh man, Far Cry 3 was great. Like I need a game I can wind down with. Like no game could be that great twice after, like two games in a row.
Back.
Two excellent games back to back. Can't possibly happen. Then I played Fallout New Vegas. Loved it. I absolutely fell in love with Fallout New Vegas. It was great. My favorite game. Like still my favorite Fallout game to this day. Absolutely love it. Play the crap out of it. Eventually I was like, I played it so much. Eventually I was like, wait a minute, Fallout 3? That's the same franchise. Like, so I went back to it now knowing what I know about Fallout New Vegas. And like, I didn't like it as much as New Vegas, but I still enjoyed it a lot. And I did side missions and all this other crazy fun stuff at the end. And I really enjoyed that, going through that whole process. It was really a blast. And so since then, I've been kind of a big Bethesda guy. I was like, hey, I like both of them. This is great. I like Skyrim. I like Fallout. So I'm excited. So why everybody says I'm a big Fallout fan more than usual. I like Fallout a lot. Like, I'm not going to kill anybody for it. I like it a lot. The funny part about the entire thing was, so I was in a gaming group called We Game Here, and when Fallout 3, when Fallout 4 got announced, I was really excited. I had like 3 videos about it. I was like, yeah, like one I was like crying, and the other one was like, oh man, it's gonna be the best game ever. So people, when I posted that video, were like in the comments were like on Facebook, the comments were like, oh well, Fallout's boring. I don't care about Fallout. And it's like, you shouldn't post this. I'm like, excuse me? And it's like, just for that alone, I'm going to troll the absolute crap out of you until the game comes out. So every single day, without fail, I had a countdown post, a new post every single day on that gaming group.
Yeah.
And I not only that, but I made sure to trash whatever game was coming out at that same time.
Yeah.
And so it'd be like, oh yeah, Tomb Raider, doomed. Tomb Raider, no chance whatsoever. It's true, but like any other game that was coming out that was popular at the time, like the equivalent would be like, oh, Death Stranding, boring. Fallout New Vegas did the Courier game first. So I do stuff like that just to troll people. I got people so mad. People quit the group. People banned me.
Wow.
It was a bit overkill. I'll admit that much.
Yeah.
It was overkill, but it was really fun.
But
So,
it's gaming. Like, these people shouldn't be complaining or even bothering it. Just, if that's what you enjoy, then just play it. Why does it matter?
but yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where it was like, hey, you didn't like this, and I'm gonna make sure you always remember.
Oh my god.
So, but yeah, it's a fun little thing I did back then. But so then whenever Fallout New Vegas Fallout 76 was announced, I was really happy because I had kind of predicted it. So initially when it was announced, before it was announced, I said, I remember because I was on a podcast and I said this, like, another Fallout game is going to come out this year.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's the new Skyrim. It's, whatever game it is. And I was like, no, it's going to be another Fallout game. And so people were like, no, it's not going to be that. I said, look, they keep supporting things on Fallout 4.
Yeah.
They keep bringing new mods. And a lot of the mods we're seeing in this are quality of life mods. Things that are things people would want on a regular basis. They're trying to sell you these mods, not the free ones. These are the creation kit ones. And I was like, they're trying to sell you on these mods. That means this is not done. They want to do more.
Yeah.
And so then eventually it actually was true.
Yeah.
And they Fallout 76 was announced. And so, I mean, because Fallout 76 was not made for normal fans of the game.
Yeah.
The Fallout 76 was made for me and me alone. Like, it's about
for your type
camp,
of fan,
having a good time. That's all it's about.
Right.
It's not about anything else. And people, like, it's not made for the average person to get on and play. It's made for the people who can't get enough of Fallout.
Yeah. The people that are the Fallout addicts, so that like they want to play more.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
even just basic stuff.
That makes sense. That's like a lot of people that how they love Ark, or like Conan, what's it called? Conan Exiles, or like 7 Days to Die. Like, those are those people that they can't get enough of, like, that type of a time frame genre type thing. And that's how Fallout 76 is. It does a lot of good things, and it does a lot of bad things. And it doesn't matter to the people that are in love with the game. And that's the most important thing. The people that play it, they like it and they enjoy it. And if there's bugs, or if they excel in certain things, it's their thing. They love it. That's how I kind of think of it. So yeah. So I wanna ask you. Time's actually flew. I just looked up at the clock. I didn't realize what time it was. I would like to ask you one final question before we do our exit, and this is something I ask everyone that is on the show. if you could live in one fantasy world or environment, what would it be? It could be a movie, it could be a TV show, it could be a comic book, it could be an anime, anywhere, like Harry Potter, Star Wars, any of that stuff.
Question: am I living as like an NPC, like a regular person in that world, or am I living as as a hero? Like
Doesn't
if I'm
matter.
talking Star Wars, like I'm a Jedi or something like that, or
If it's like Star Wars, you could be a Jedi. If you're like the world of Harry Potter, you could be a wizard, you could be a Muggle. It doesn't matter. It depends upon you as a person, like how you'd want to live. Like you could, you could be any,
see,
you could
that
be an
is a
NPC
very
if you
hard
want.
question. Because if I'm living as like a normal NPC or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
like that answer is very different than as like, oh yeah, I'm living as a superhero and doing whatever.
It doesn't matter. It's totally 100% preferable up to you. If you would rather live in the world of, let's say, Skyrim as a NPC, would you be okay with that? Would you, if you wanted to live in like, Star Wars and you want to be a Jedi, you can do that. If, like I said, it doesn't matter. You can live however which way you want to live. If you wanted to be living in the world of like the Flash and you wanted to be a person like just a regular human being walking around, or if you wanted to be like the Flash or Batman or
Well, just
Superman.
because no one wants to just be that. But let's see. I asked a similar question to people just in general. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, which world would you want to live in? Like, as yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, like BioShock. Like, yeah, if you're Andrew Ryan, where you can live and die and just
Mm-hmm.
kind of do whatever you want, sure, it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Like, totally fine. But on the other hand, like if you're like a regular Joe Schmo in the world of BioShock, you're screwed. People trying to kill you all the time. Yeah, I wish I prepared for that. Because like, I definitely would not live in the world of Fallout. Heck
yeah,
no.
no, I wouldn't live in the world
That's
of Fallout
terrible.
either. But like if I could say like, hey, I would have no problem living in the world of Warcraft because I'd be just resurrected every 5 minutes if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Like so like but that's like the NPCs, even they die and come back. So why does it matter?
Well, I mean, it'd be more like just really annoying. like it's like, oh yeah, they killed me again. Ugh,
Oh
God.
man, I got more blood on my shorts.
This is not gonna wash out at all.
Yeah. You don't if you feel that it is a too difficult answer, I mean.
Well, no, it's mainly narrowing down which ones I would like more.
Or is this the philosophical brain of yours that is ticking?
Yeah, because like on one hand, like I like the aesthetic style of like Outer Worlds, but living in a heavy corporate environment would be annoying as hell.
That's right now.
Yeah. Let's see. This is gonna sound really weird.
Go for it. I'm down to hear weird things. I've had people say they want to live in the land of Silent Hill. So I'm calling you out, old school styles. I'm calling you out. Like, so I've heard some weird things.
I'm gonna say Elite Dangerous.
Elite Dangerous, really? You'd like to be that person flying around in a spaceship?
Well, it's not so much that as much as it is like there's laws and stuff. Like it's not like the Wild West. Like things happen. See, I'm thinking more from the perspective of like, okay,
equality.
If I lived in this world, like, is there recourse for me to like okay, like I think of like, okay, someone like griefing me, like, okay, yeah, like, okay, yeah, they keep blowing up my ship or something like that, and it's like, oh man, this is so frustrating. Like, oh, someone that keeps attacking me and just keeps doing this, it's so frustrating. But like Elite Dangerous is like there's laws and there's like penalties, and like you break a law, you have a bounty on your head. People kill you for the bounty. They take that money.
Yeah.
And it's all relatively controlled. Like the economy is fluid. Things change. I think I want to live in that world because it also like good piloting skills, but you can also like you're flexible.
Yeah.
Or like this, like if your ship gets blown up, yeah, you don't have to buy a whole new one. You just pay your insurance deductible and go.
Yeah. Pay my deductible and go, just like real life with my car. Have you played Star Citizen yet or no?
I have not played Star Citizen. Has that game even come out officially yet?
No, it's still like
Yeah, I'm not good.
alpha, whatever.
I basically made a decision. I'm not playing any alphas or betas anymore.
I ended up, I ended
I'll
up,
do a test weekend, but that's about it.
right.
I'm not doing this. I'm not beta testing for free.
Right, right. I ended up picking up one of the packages because I had a bunch of friends asking me to pick it up and play with them, and I played it for a little bit and it's fun, but you need a joystick or two joysticks, and you need to have someone tell you what to do because there's like no tutorial, and it's really difficult to start off and play if you don't know how to play it.
Have you played Elite Dangerous?
I have not. I've seen a lot of people play it.
You go play that. It's a completed version of that game that is just better.
Yeah, I've seen it, and I do want to play it, but I also try to
It's
figure
very
out
much a
times.
turn on your podcast in the background and go be a space trucker. Like,
Go be a space trucker.
because for me, like I don't really play. I don't like being a mercenary in that game. I don't like it. Like it's not my thing. I don't like being a miner. I like being a smuggler. I
Gotcha.
love doing that because it's a risk and it's enjoyable. And like, yeah, if you get caught, like, yeah, you're gonna have a huge fine. But like, no one like can just tax you on site.
Yeah.
So you can go to like an imperial system, go pick up a couple slaves, take them to the federal area, make a good easy million, and then just kind of dip out. But like, you have to park yourself so you don't get like caught. You don't get
Right.
caught in the in the scans and such. But
There's
yeah,
there's a game that I backed on Kickstarter a long time ago called Chronicles of Alaria. Have you ever heard of it?
I have heard of it. That's the one that's like they're based out of Rhode Island and like the entire government got involved in that.
I don't know
Like,
about that.
what isn't that the guy who also had like he's like a baseball guy who like backed it?
I
Is, I,
that
is that the game I'm thinking about?
I don't know. I don't know of that. But this game is pretty much it's based on governing parties and individuals, and you have your king that takes care of your county, and then you have your count that breaks down that area into duchies and into counties into settlements, and it kind of breaks down, and literally it's really really interesting. And I ended up getting involved in it when it was kickstarted, and they allotted me like a mayor of one of the settlements, and being involved in that game that isn't even out yet, it's so intense, and the forum boards are always going nuts. Out the Discord is always going nuts, and like because I'm a mayor of one of these towns, essentially, like I'm on all these email
That's
notifications,
what it was.
and I'm
It was
like,
Kingdoms of Amalur.
oh, what was
That's
that?
Kingdoms of Amalur. That's what the game was.
Oh,
I was
Kingdoms,
thinking
yeah.
about.
But like this game, Chronicles of Alaria, I can't wait to see how it comes out because of they have this like Spark system, which is like you buy a Spark, which is $35, and then you end up having this Spark for up to 12 months. And what ends up happening is like if you die, it actually takes days away from your Spark. So like you could like burn through a Spark within like 10 months instead of your allotted 12. But if you're like a king, your your time frame isn't 12 months, it's technically 8 months. And then once that spark dies, you end up like buying in, and you can go when you buy your next every time you die, your child then takes your like all your abilities and everything like that, but you start again as like a level 1. Kind of like it's a real interesting kind of engine and thought process for a game, and it's really going to be nice when it comes out. But like you're saying, like how you could take things and be a smuggler, and you can trade back and forth. You can do stuff like that in this, or you can be part of like the guard towers, which make sure that like one of the neighboring towns don't attack you, or you could be a philosopher, and you can end up teaching your uh, things you've learned to other people, or they could teach you things, or you could be a scholar and just write all these information down in books, and you could sell the books. So it's got all these aspects of the game. It's really really cool. But I'll get you off stream, and I'll talk to you about that because I could talk about it for hours because I'm so involved in it, and it's really really interesting. So, but yes. Anyhow, why don't you tell everyone? Oh, I just smacked my microphone. Why don't you go ahead and tell everyone where we can find you your times and your Twitters and all that fun stuff.
Sure. So not too much. So I am AnchormanV2, Xbox, PlayStation, Switch. If they had not allowed me to have enough characters to put that as my title, you can always message me for my social security code if you want to play with me on Switch. I don't play that much Switch unless you want to get your blank beat on Smash Bros by King K. Rool. But so other than that,
Or Pokemon.
yo. You can find me also same name everywhere. I try to make sure I have that brand synergy across Instagram, Twitter,
All those fun things.
You can find me on all those places. Other than that, you can go to Multiverse Show on YouTube. They also have a Twitter account, also have an Instagram, although we really use the Instagram. You can go check us out on there. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, we do a show on Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Like I said, if you want to go check out that total dumpster fire of a Game of the Year show,
wow,
check it out on there. Like I said, we did the entire thing live. Everything was wheeled and dealed in front of everybody else. Like there was no background deal whatsoever. Like it was absolutely a blast to do, and I love doing it every year. Even though we all get mad at each other and stop talking to each other for about 48 hours.
That's what friends do, right?
The only reason why we didn't do it was because of the MLB The Show getting announced coming to Xbox. So we were like, "What?" That happens about midway through the show.
well, that's what happens when you have arguments with friends. You don't talk for 24 hours, and then you're fine again.
Yeah, it's like really the some of the best guys on there. I'd do anything for them. Like they really are excellent people. So
that sounds good. Well, I'm just going to do a couple of outros for our friends here that want to make it. First of all, I would like to say on behalf of all of us, thank you very much, Anchorman, for coming and talking with us today. You brought us a lot of insight from what you did and where you came from, and I greatly appreciate you taking the time out to do that. So thank you very much, and I had a fantastic time. I hope you did too.
Oh, thank you for the invite, man.
No worries. We'll have you back when maybe the rest of the cast is around and we can chit chat some more. And hopefully they got some questions after they listen to the show, and that we'll get together again and we'll end up doing this again maybe next year.
Sure.
Sounds great. So once again, L Boogie 0208 on Twitter, on Mixer. Go check her out. Old School Style. He is Old School Tech Talk on Twitter. Go check him out. He also has a YouTube page called Old School Tech Talk about different types of, technology, like your phones and what's coming up new and great things like that. MJ is a boss. Check him out on Twitter. He is doing the college thing. He's almost done, so hopefully he can be free and he can be back on Twitch playing his games, and check him out there. It's very easy for him to find. And myself, I am Sneldo. That's SNALYDO. You can go check me out on Twitch Monday to Friday at 7 to 10, unless I am here. Sometimes I run a little later than that. I'm usually up till about 11. And you can hit me up on Twitter. Same name. Discord. If you are part of the Iron Lords Discord, go check them out. That's fantastic. I'd like to thank all the viewers and everybody for coming, hanging out, and talking to us in chat. I greatly appreciate all the questions. If anyone has any questions for our guests, please check out Roundtable's, email us at roundtablestreamteam@gmail.com. We will try to ask our guests those questions for you. Go check us out on Twitter. It is TableStream. I know it's weird. The long name didn't fit. Go ahead and hit us up there. You'll see who our guest is. Usually try to get that done early, and usually give our time frames of what's going on in there. Or if you have any questions, you can always hit me up directly. I'd like to say thank you to the Iron Lords podcast, who is on Sundays at 11 Eastern time, and check out lordsofgaming.net for your gaming news. Those guys are doing a fantastic job over there. Myself and Anchor are part of the crew trying to do stuff for them there. And the Iron Lords podcast, I think they got 2 more weeks on Sunday, and then they're changing their times, but go check them out. Just so you guys know, we will be back on Monday next week. We are doing just a group of us just chit-chatting about the the year on what happened with us as streaming life and all that jazz. And then after that, we'll probably be seeing you guys next year. But I greatly appreciate if you guys come back again and check us out there. Thanks again, everyone. Have a fantastic week. And remember, everyone, to dream big and keep gaming. And we'll see everyone next week. Bye, everybody. Thank you.